Hello everyone, today I want to share my top boss fights from The Witcher 3. I'll be diving into why I consider these battles the best along with a brief description of each boss and some gameplay footage. Keep in mind this list is based on my personal experiences and preferences, so your placements might differ and that's perfectly okay. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. Starting off at number 8 we have the Royal Griffin, and the simple reason why it finds its way into this list in the first place is because of how iconic the fight is. In fact, it is the very first serious battle you face in the game, which requires you to team up with Vesemir himself to track it down in White Orchard. This fight introduces you to the crossbow's utility for ranged attacks and test your dodging skills against the Griffin's swooping assault. Also, that's when you, to your disappointment, learn that the crossbow is only good for stuns. But yes, what makes this battle memorable is the teamwork aspect with Vesemir, an iconic character who aids you in this encounter. So I just had to include it in this list. Next up at number 7 is Eredin. Yes, I know, to some of you this might come as a huge surprise, considering the fact that Eredin is the final boss of the base game, the leader of the Wild Hunt who you would assume to be all-powerful, but the fact remains, Eredin is the easiest boss fight in the whole game. Despite its length, the battle becomes less challenging with careful dodging and positioning. In fact, he is probably the only boss fight that I defeated first try. But even though it is easy, Eredin is still one of the most iconic characters in the game. In all other ways, Eredin is an epic confrontation, but unfortunately not as challenging, and perhaps there is a reason behind it. I think the main reason why they made him easier than the others is to maintain the narrative flow without frustrating players during the game's climax. Otherwise, you would have had to go all the way back to upgrade. Moving on to number 6, we have Imlerith, one of Eredin's generals known for his brute strength and fierce combat prowess. Though not as iconic a character as Eredin, I found his fight more challenging and in a way more interesting. That is why I am obliged to put him higher on this list. The fight actually took me quite a few attempts, but the most memorable part of it all was the journey leading to the battle, which included the wholesome father and daughter bonding between Geralt and Ciri. I simply enjoyed the journey. At number 5 we have Carenthir, another of Eredin's generals and a formidable mage. The battle against Carenthir is a test of Geralt's combat and magic skills, requiring players to counter his powerful spells and summonings while maintaining offensive pressure. I found this fight quite interesting but a little cheesy in the end, since I learned that you could use his own magic spells against him. As he summons golems, you can make him deal friendly damage to him by using them as a shield against his icy projectiles. Still, the fight was quite interesting and definitely more memorable than against his leader. Taking the 4th spot is the haunting fight against none other than Olgierd von Evrik, or rather his ghost from the Hearts of Stone expansion. In the haunting scenes from A Marriage Quest, Geralt finds himself navigating a surreal dreamscape to confront the ghostly forms of Olgierd von Evrik, Iris's greatest fear. As if one Olgierd is not enough, you actually have to fight 6 of them, one at a time of course, if you are careful enough not to disturb the others while they are staying idle. This boss fight is a unique and emotionally charged battle where players are allowed to make very few mistakes to emerge victorious. I found this fight quite challenging and had to take some time to figure out the best way to go about it. At number 3 we have the Toad Prince from the Hearts of Stone expansion. At first glance, the Toad Prince seems like an easy target. After all, is just a jumping froggo, but in fact he turned out to be quite a challenge. On my first playthrough, as I was much lower in level than him, I had to go back and level up more after fighting the Toad for almost an hour. And even after spending some time to level up my character, the fight still took me a few attempts. It is a very memorable encounter and a funny one as well. Just look at this little glitch I experienced while fighting him. What? Huh?
Well, how long You're gonna make me wait.
At number 2 we have the Caretaker. The Caretaker is a grotesque entity you encounter at the Von Everec estate in The Witcher 3 Hearts of Stone. Now personally this is my favorite fight in the whole franchise because of how similar it is to Dark Souls. In fact I was thinking of putting it at number 1 on this list, but after much consideration I decided not to be too biased. As I said, what makes this fight unique is the fact that it feels like a Dark Souls battle. The Caretaker looks like something straight out of a Souls game, and the eerie atmosphere, haunting visuals, and relentless pursuit of the Caretaker create a tense and memorable gameplay experience. The fact that the Caretaker can heal himself by hitting you and later slaying his own manifestations can pose quite a challenge, as you have to be very quick to dispose of his phantoms before he gets to them. Basically you have to utilize Quen and Axii to the best of your abilities. The fight is just top shelf. I enjoyed it a lot. Now before we get to number 1, some honorable mentions include Jenny of the Woods, Nithral, the Bruxa of Corvobianco, the Crones, the Wraith from the Painting. Those are the fights I also had fun with. And finally at number 1, without question, we have Dettlaff. Now, if you play through Blood and Wine, you should not be surprised as to why I consider this fight the best fight in The Witcher 3, and it doesn't require much explanation. It is not just because of the challenge Dettlaff poses, but also because of how iconic this enemy is. The whole Blood and Wine story revolves around you trying to catch this vampire, and perhaps he would have been just a regular boss if not for Regis, your mutual vampire friend who challenges you to believe that Dettlaff was once a good person, making it hard for you to make the final decision. So yeah, as a character he is definitely up top, but what makes this fight interesting is also the challenging phases, except for the last one. In his second stage, Dettlaff can one-shot you straight through your shield if you're not careful enough. The fight is all about timing your rolls to dodge his attacks precisely. Also you have to be mindful of your surroundings at all times so as not to get trapped in his bloody puddles. It is just great, it feels great, it plays great, and it also serves as the climax of the whole expansion, with an incredibly emotional finale after defeating him, depending on your choices of course. So there you have it folks, my favorite boss fights from The Witcher 3. What are your favorite fights? Let us know in the comments. And if you like this video and would like to see more videos like this one, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Also, if you're into Witcher, you can check out this Witcher 3 review I made earlier. And as always, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, stay strong, see you on the next one.